The galactic combat arena fell silent as the massive doors groaned open. Ambassador Zekthar's four eyes tracked the humans' entrance with barely concealed disdain. After 3 standard cycles of negotiations, the stubborn Terrans had finally agreed to settle their territorial dispute through single combat, a decision that would spare billions of lives but doom humanity to subjugation. Behold, Zekthar's voice boomed across the crystalline amphitheater. The hegemony presents Krexval the Unbreakable, champion of 1,000 worlds. The crowd of assembled alien dignitaries erupted in appreciative roars as the champion emerged. Krexval stood 12 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming like polished obsidian. Razor-sharp claws extended from all 4 arms, each one capable of rending steel. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along his carapace, a warning display that had terrorized countless species across the galaxy. The human delegation sat in uncomfortable silence. Their representative appeared almost comically small as she walked onto the arena floor. Captain Sarah Chen wore simple military fatigues and carried no visible weapons. At barely 5.5 feet tall, she looked like a child next to the towering alien warrior. This is their champion? Krexval's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his species. I have crushed battle mechs larger than this creature. Sarah stretched her arms above her head and rolled her shoulders. Mind if I do a quick warm-up? I've been sitting in those negotiations for hours. The translator's mechanical voice conveyed her words to the crowd, prompting confused murmurs. Several species had no concept of pre-combat preparation rituals. Warm-up? Ambassador Zekthar leaned forward in his observation booth. What does the human mean? Admiral Morrison, the human delegation's leader, allowed himself a small smile. She means she's getting ready for the real fight. Sarah began with simple stretches, touching her toes and rotating her joints. Then she dropped into a series of push-ups, her movements crisp and controlled. The alien audience watched with growing bewilderment as she transitioned into burpees, jumping squats, and shadowboxing routines. The human appears to be exercising? Dr. Vexani, the hegemony's chief xenobiologist, studied her with professional fascination. Most curious, is this some form of psychological warfare? Krexval grew impatient. Enough of this mockery. He lunged forward, all 4 arms extended, claws whistling through the air where Sarah's head had been a split second before. She had moved, not with the enhanced reflexes of cybernetic augmentation or the supernatural speed of genetic modification, but with the fluid precision of someone who had spent thousands of hours perfecting their craft. Her roll carried her past his guard and she came up behind his left leg. The champion spun around, confused. Where was she? Up here. Krexval looked up to find Sarah perched on his back, having somehow scaled his armored hide in the time it took him to turn around. Before he could react, her elbow struck a specific point where his neck met his shoulder, a pressure point that existed in the anatomy of most bipedal species. The champion's left side went temporarily numb. He reached for her with his right arms, but she was already gone, sliding down his back like water. The crowd fell silent. In 3 seconds, their invincible champion had been outmaneuvered twice. Impossible, whispered Zekthar. Our combat algorithms analyzed her species. Humans are weak, no natural armor, no claws, no enhanced senses. That's where you made your mistake, Admiral Morrison replied calmly. You analyzed our biology. You should have studied our history. In the arena, Krexval's rage built to a fever pitch. His bioluminescent patterns shifted to deep crimson as he triggered his species' berserker state. His muscles swelled, his speed doubled, and his pain receptors shut down completely. In this state, he had single-handedly conquered the war fleets of 6 different civilizations. He launched himself at Sarah with the fury of a living missile. She didn't try to dodge this time. Instead, she planted her feet, shifted her weight, and caught his charge. Not with brute strength, but with technique perfected over millennia of human warfare. The throw was textbook judo. She used his momentum against him, pivoting at the exact moment to send all 12 feet and 800 pounds of alien champion sailing over her head. Krexval crashed into the arena wall hard enough to crack the reinforced composite. As he struggled to his feet, Sarah was already moving again. This time her approach was different, calculated, predatory. Her hands moved in quick, precise strikes, each one targeting nerve clusters and joint vulnerabilities that her species had mapped through countless centuries of conflict. You see, Admiral Morrison continued his explanation to the stunned alien observers. Humans didn't evolve to be the strongest or the fastest. We evolved to be the most adaptable. Every challenge we've faced, we've found a way to overcome it. In the arena, Krexvol's berserker rage was fading. His enhanced strength meant nothing when he couldn't land a hit. His natural weapons were useless against an opponent who treated his body like a jungle gym, and his legendary endurance was being systematically dismantled by precise attacks that disrupted his nervous system. Sarah ducked under his increasingly sluggish swipes and delivered a palm strike to his solar plexus. The champion doubled over, his breathing labored. Another strike to the side of his neck sent him to one knee. "We've been fighting wars since before we discovered fire," Morrison said softly. "We've faced opponents stronger than us, faster than us, better armed than us. And we've always found a way to win." Sarah circled the kneeling champion, her breathing barely elevated despite the intense combat. She could have ended the fight at any point in the last minute, but she was making a statement. Not just to Krexvol, but to every species watching. "Yield," she said simply. Krexvol looked up at her with all four eyes. In them she saw something that surprised her. Not hatred or rage, but respect. He had never faced an opponent who made him feel so completely outmatched. "I yield." The arena erupted in chaos. Voices in dozens of languages filled the air as the alien delegates tried to process what they had witnessed. Their greatest champion, the living embodiment of their military might, had been defeated by a creature they had dismissed as primitive. Sarah helped Krexvol to his feet, supporting his weight as his nervous system slowly recovered from her systematic assault. "Good fight," she said, meaning it. The champion's mandibles clicked once, a gesture of acknowledgement. "The stories of your species will spread far beyond this day, warrior." Ambassador Zekthar stared down at the arena floor in stunned silence. The implications of this defeat would reshape the entire galactic political landscape. Humanity would not be subjugated. Instead, they would have to be respected, feared, and most importantly, left alone. As Sarah walked toward the exit, she caught Admiral Morrison's eye and winked. "Same time tomorrow?" she called out. "I could use the exercise." The translator dutifully converted her words, but somehow, the casual confidence in her voice needed no translation. Every alien in the arena understood perfectly. Humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same.